Name is Alex. I'm a technical developer of Business Central and also an eTIMS specialist, also a consultant in Business Central and eTIMS. So today in this video, I'm going to walk you through the technical scope and full process flow of KRA eTIMS integration in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It will not just be a theory, but I'll explain the OSCO technical structure, the API categorizations, the complete business flow, and also how we design this property in BC, in Business Central. So if you are a developer, an ERP consultant, or an implementing eTIMS for a client, this video is for you. Let's get started. So we have the eTIMS process flow. So I will start with the overview, introduction to eTIMS. So overview of KRA eTIMS integration. So we have the technical architecture in BC. When I say BC, I mean Business Central, the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Centrals, and the end-to-end process flow. So what is eTIMS? You may ask yourself, what is eTIMS? If you have not encountered or come across eTIMS, what is eTIMS? So it's an electronic tax invoice management system. So it's a software solution introduced by the Kenya Revenue Authority to streamline the tax compliance for business across Kenya. So it's a digital platform that requires all persons engaged in business, regardless of the VAT registration, to issue electronic tax invoices and transmit them directly to KRA. So it's a real-time, actually it's a real-time reporting to KRA. So it covers mainly the sales for ERP systems, the purchases, the stock movement. So yeah, maybe from one specific warehouse or location to another. So actually it's mandatory compliance framework in Kenya to pay tax or comply to tax. So the main reason in the KRA version documentation version 1, we have the tulipe ushuru tujitegemee. Yeah. So we can continue. So what is OSCO? Now OSCO is an online sales control unit that acts as a communication to the KRA server. So it allows the communication between the ERP and KRA. Maybe it can be a POS system to the KRA server. The main communication method is based on the JSON REST API communication. So I understand JSON is here to streamline everything. So we have two environments for the OSCO. We have the test environment, which is provided in the Gava Connect, or you can actually log into Gava Connect. I saw they introduced the eTIMS modules to the existing APIs, which wasn't in the past. So we have the two environments, the test environment and the production environment. So every request requires a communication key called the SM key. So we have a device. A device must be installed. That is device initializations by the serial number. So in BC, we don't use Java libraries. We connect directly to the eTIMS REST API by the REST API in BC. We also have the integration architecture, that is now the Business Central, custom integration layer, and then the REST API calls, and then to the KRA eTIMS server. What I mean here, so in AL, we communicate directly through the REST API using some built-in methods. So we communicate to the KRA server. Maybe we are sending data or are fetching data. The idea of software engineering it revolves around data management, that is involved creating, storing, sending, receiving, encrypting. Yeah. So we can continue with our presentation. So we have the high level process flow, that is the key, the main, we start by the device initialization. We start by the device initialization. So we have the TIIs where we initialize the device using the serial number. I will showcase the API payload for that. We also have the code synchronization where we get the specific codes from KRA, the eTIMS server. So the codes are like the tax types, the payment types, methods, and so on. I will showcase in the BC. We have the item classifications. Items are classified as recognized in KRA. We can categorize an item as an import, can categorize an item as export, maybe it's a livestock, maybe it's we have so many categorization of items. We have the items master submissions. This one is now for saving items. Maybe we have our specific items with their KRA informations. That is now the tax type, the packagings we submit to KRA. So KRA will know that we have these items in stock in our inventory. We have these items for sales. We have this for purchases with their unit price and packagings. So we also have the item sales invoice submissions. We submit our sales whenever we do our sales. This is an automated process in BC. Whenever we do our sales, when we are invoicing, we directly invoke or send the data to KRA so that the KRA will know that there is a sale which has been conducted by our company. We have stock movements. For every API call that is for purchases, the sales, we invoke the stock movement. So we need to actually invoke stock movement for every sales and purchases, such that whenever we make a sales, there are stocks. We have an item we have received. We call the stock movement API that will be triggered in the eTIMS server. So we have purchase retrievals for purchases and purchase confirmations. Let's proceed. So we have the first API, that is the device initialization. We initialize a device as per the specific TIN, branch ID or serial number. So for this one is now we have this one is now the payload and the return result code. That is now what we receive maybe with the devices initialized in our system. And then we have what we shall receive in the response. We have the communication key and the device ID. So we need to have the TIN, the branch ID, and the serial number. Okay, so let's continue. We have the code synchronization. This one is for getting the codes. I told you the payment method codes, the packaging units, the tax types. That is now if maybe it's tax exempt, the VAT 16%, VAT 8%. So we can get the codes from the KRA server as registered there. We also have items classifications. So if you want to register an item to save the item in the KRA server, we need to have what we call the classification of this item. How is it classified? We can classify each item must have an item classification code in the tax type. Maybe the tax type A, tax type B, the packaging, and the country of origin. So each item must have classification and requirements for it. We also just a minute. We also have let's continue with our presentation. So item master submission. So we submit the item master after we have the items classification codes, the information that we need to submit to KRA. So each item in the system is triggered on the item card where we save these items to KRA. KRA now will know that we have an item for this specific client or this specific company. So whenever an item is created or modified, we send it to KRA. We call the save items API. This one is now the endpoint, and it has some item code, the item class code, the tax type code, the default price. Yep. Yes, so we can continue with our next slide. We have the invoicing. We invoice the sales invoice process flow, where now the most important part is sales submissions. When we post a sales invoice in Business Central, we need to send this specific sale invoice data with a QR code to KRA. So this one we receive a receipt number and a signature. This one is stored in KRA response for a QR code. So we have a QR code for, I'll showcase on the BC part of it. You will see now the endpoint is there. So if it's a successful, KRA returns a receipt number and control unit date time. We store this in a custom items sales header table. This is what we generate the QR code for the invoicing. So we have what the next thing is the stock management. So sales must be submitted before stock out. So for every accompanied, for every purchase, for every sales, we need to accompany the stock management, that is the stock movement. So after sending the sales invoice, we need to send the stock information for purchases. We retrieve purchase transaction from KRA, then we confirm them, then we send stock in. So we have a stock in and stock out API. Stock and sales must always be synchronized. If not, compliance issues arise. So it needs to be compliance, it needs to be streamlined. So the purchase confirmation flow, that is, we need to get purchases from our specific vendors, where we retrieve supplier submissions, we confirm the transaction, and then it updates the inventory by receiving the items through the purchases. So we have an automation here. We use job queue to get purchases as specific. Maybe it depends on your organization. Maybe if your organization handles bulk, the job queue needs to be running frequently. Depends on your operation. So we also have error handling and logging, that we have the eTIMS API logs. For every API call, we need to register what has happened to that transaction, what has been done, what actually, we get the failed payloads. In case of a server issue, we get the response, so that we can know that this API didn't run, this API runs successfully, this item is not saved, this stock movement has not been adjusted. So we also have environment management. I told you we have two: categorization, the test and production, with their endpoints. So it's provided in the Gava Connect, the KRA developer portal. You can just check, and then store credentials securely use. And then, so Business Central technical design, I told you BC is a setup table, is a setup system configuration. And then we also have the code units, where we have the API management code units. We have the log tables, the event subscribers, the JSON builders, and the automations. So that is on our presentation. Let's catch up in our BC presentation. Welcome to the Business Central aspect to eTIMS, how we have integrated in Business Central. Right now I'm logged in as a business manager. I'm now getting insights as a business manager. So let me just open. We shall start with the first API integration, that is the device initialization. So under our specific locations, we have the device initializations. So the devices are initialized as per locations, that is to say the branch. So on our aspect here, we have the eTIMS. We have the PIN, the device PIN. We have the taxpayer name, the branch ID, if it's an headquarter, and the communication key. So we have the device information. So we have an action for verify eTIMS device. If you can see, I just we have an error for it. Maybe the device is already installed. You can check from the logs. So this is now the device initializations with specific device. So let's go to code synchronizations, where we have the under eTIMS we have the eTIMS codes. So this is where we get the specific eTIMS codes as recognized in KRA. We have the taxation type, maybe it's an exempt, or the tax B, which is VAT 16%, or tax zero rated tax, or VAT. So we have many taxation codes, such that we have many eTIMS codes. We have the country codes. These are the country recognized in KRA. So in KRA, maybe for, let's assume Kenya, maybe let's assume Belgium, KRA is recognized as BE in Belgium. We also have the taxation, the payment type. We have the cash, credit as registered in KRA. We also have the branch status, or the quantity, the branch status. We also have sales status, maybe it's waiting for approval, packaging unit. We have the barrel. So every time we update the codes in KRA, we just get codes from KRA, just like this. Then this one will be retrieving all the KRA codes and register it in our get codes in BC. So the codes has been fetched successfully. Yes. So we also do the next thing is the items classifications. So we have the eTIMS items class, where items are classified as per eTIMS, as per KRA, how they want the items to be classified. We can have live fish, we can have fish food, you can have honest goods, cereal seeds, legume, floral. Yeah, depends on how business operates. The next thing is the item master submissions, how we submit items. We can create items. You can also get the codes. Go to items. So under items, each item, when we create a new item in the system, this one will be triggering the API submissions. So maybe brand A, we have the save eTIMS item. You can create your items in Business Central, and then once everything is well, you have completed what you want, then you save the items to KRA. So we have the items informations under the each item card. We have the item code specifically, and then we also have the item sequence, the items class code. So this one is important for what we call item matching. I will show you the aspect of item matching while receiving goods. We also have the taxation type code. Maybe it's a VAT 16%, exempt, tax zero rated. We also have the items and packaging. So maybe it's the original place code. Maybe you can see it's KE as recognized in the KRA codes for country codes, I mean. So we also have the eTIMS insurance and tax, and then the eTIMS registrations. So that's all about the items. After we have this information, we can save the items to KRA or eTIMS. Okay, the next thing is sales invoice submissions. So under the sales, we have sales invoice. So I understand we can trigger the sales invoice. We can trigger the two. It's an automation. We can trigger through the sales orders or the sales invoice. When creating a sales order in BC, we create orders, then we receive an invoice. So the process is triggered when invoicing. So you see this one, we have the items. When creating a sales, we have the location code, maybe it's in the main location, the quantity, everything, and then we have a very key aspect on the invoicing details, where we include KRA. So this is a checkbox for including to KRA. So once you check include KRA, it means that we need to now to transmit this information to KRA when receiving. Without this one, will not automate. So with this one, without this one, we'll just have the normal sales invoice process, then you can decide to invoice later. You can decide to submit to KRA later. There's a provision on the posted sales invoice. So under this one, we have the items information, that is including now the original invoice number. We have the receipt type code. We have the, you can see under the receipt type code, we have it's an invoice or a sale invoice. You also have the KRA invoice status, maybe it's a approved transaction or not. You also have the payment type code. Maybe it's a credit or it's cash or credit, depends on what you know. It's a sale type code, is a normal transaction. Then the stock release date, everything. Then from there you can now post. You can now post this one. When posting, we invoice. We definitely create an invoice to the KRA, and we automatically send this sales invoice to KRA. Yeah, in case of an issue, there's a provision on the posted sale invoice. Maybe we open one, and in case of an issue, maybe the server is down or issue on the payload when the user was inputting the payload, we also have our posted sales invoice. We have a provision for it. You can open one and open to post. You see we have the invoice number with everything from KRA, and we have a submit. Right now is inactive because this transaction is successfully posted to KRA. This one will limit the double posting to KRA. The next thing is the stock movement. So for every movement, as you can see on the endpoint, so you can just open the PI logs, see on the endpoint. So you can see these are for this one. It is a save sales. This is we have save a sale. You can see the endpoint, and then we have the stock items. So for every save, you can see the timestamp where for every sale we accompanied the stock movement. So for every sale or purchase, the API for stock movement is accompanied to register that there was a movement of stock. Yeah. So for purchase retrieval, this one is automated by job queue, but we also have a provision for purchases. So we have the items purchase invoice, maybe from our specific vendors. So you can see we have the purchases and we have the get purchase. So you get purchase, literally having purchase of all the transaction that we have. That is now confirming the retrieval of purchases. The next thing is now the purchase confirmation. Maybe we have received an item from a specific vendor. You can create a purchase invoice for it. Then under each, you create the invoice, and then there is a very key aspect of item matching that needs to be inputted when creating a purchase invoice, such that when you item match, it means that maybe in the other system they are selling Colgate, and in our system we recognize Colgate as brand B. So KRA will not know that when I send this specific purchase to the KRA, the item server, KRA will not be able to distinguish if it's this item or not. So we have an aspect of item matching here. So we match the item from what we have in the specific. So maybe if we include KRA in this transaction, you can see in the invoice details, we have the include KRA. When you include KRA, you will just have to item match that this Colgate in our system is registered as brand B. Then from there, this one is also automatically when posting and receiving. So yeah, that's all on purchase invoice and eTIMS at large. It's just an overview of how the integration is done in BC. If maybe you want or you are interested in doing the same integration, you can just contact me. You can have a chat on that. I will provide my email address under the descriptions. And then if you want me to do a video on the technical scope that is now showing the AL codes, you can just also chat me on the email and I will respond. Thank you so much for the time. See you in the next video.